once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking to Auburn football. Go ahead and like the video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger or Eagle. Hopefully everybody is having a good afternoon, man. We're talking a little bit about Auburn football, a lot of moving parts coming into this season, and it's starting to get to the point where it's feeling a little bit more solid that there will be a college football season this year. Games are already being played, already highlights already out there. So it's a great thing to see. So let's just dive right into this. Back in August, matter of fact, a week ago, actually, the Sporting News came out with the SEC standings predictions. Auburn was actually picked to be number 2 in the SEC West. I thought that was a pretty interesting take because of what I'm going to talk about a little bit later on in this particular video. Now, 24/7 Sports, which is heavy on recruiting, heavy on analyzing football teams across the country, they actually picked Auburn to be the number 4 team in the SEC West this year, behind Alabama, Texas A&M, and LSU. Now, a lot of fans may be wondering, well, how in the world can Auburn be ranked, but at least behind Texas A&M? Well, Texas A&M has a lot more experience. Texas A&M has recruited very well. And, you know, you talk about a 10-game SEC slate, experience and talent, or at least documented talent, will at least get the nod when it comes to predictions. Alabama, of course, that speaks for itself. They consistently have talent year in and year out because of their ability to recruit at an epically high level under Nick Saban. LSU, you can never count LSU out. Yeah, they've lost Jamar Chase. They've lost some guys this particular year. But LSU, if you look at them historically, they're always in the mix just because they recruit so well. And they're able to recruit so well because, I mean, there's really nobody, no teams out there in their area that they really have to compete against. And, of course, they have the brand recognition with Nike and the diverse uniforms. And like I said, LSU has always been able to recruit well and to play well. Because, I mean, you talk about a team that usually averages around 9 or 10 games, and that's actually a bad season for them, capping off the national championship last year, beating Clemson by double digits in the national championship game. So then we shift gears and start looking at Auburn and like, okay, here's what we think we know about Auburn. There's a lot of rant and raving about the skill position. Now, for a lot of y'all who don't know, the skill position is the position that gets the most recognition. This is the position that wins the Heisman Trophy. This is the position that is most seen because they are the ones with the football in their hands usually, or more often than not, okay? We're talking about the running backs. We're talking about the wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks. On defense, when you talk about skill players, you talk about cornerbacks, linebackers to a certain degree, and your safeties. That, you know, kind of the pretty stuff, the pretty boy stuff. And, you know, a lot of folks are big on Auburn having a loaded skill position set on offense, have done a great job of recruiting, and really have what people would like to think may be comparable to some of the best running backs in the country. Now, here's the only issue with this. Although I firmly believe that Auburn's skill position is pretty much well intact. And I think most of you guys would agree with me. Matter of fact, go ahead and hit the like button real quick. But here's what the true analytical folks out there are seeing out of Auburn. It's a scary pick because, yes, you have a returning quarterback. You have an enormous amount of question on the offensive line. And everyone knows in the SEC, you got to have a good offensive line to win at any level. And that's not proven. You don't know who's going to emerge as offensive lineman. You're having to replace that whole piece. Okay, so at the wide receiver position, yeah, you have Eli Stove, Anthony Schwartz, and Seth Williams, but who's going to be the fourth guy? You know, or who's going to intermingle in that squad? those are not easy questions to answer. And when you're doing an educated analysis on a football team, you can't go based on potential, because Kobe Hudson was playing high school football last year. Xavier Capers was playing high school football last year. Even Tank Bigsby was playing high school football in rural Georgia, right outside of Auburn last year. So when you're analyzing the game, yes, we think these guys will be good. But honestly, until we see Auburn against Kentucky, we're not going to be able to refute anything that says Auburn should finish any higher than number 4 in the SEC West. I think they will. I think Auburn has something, and I think that's why Gus Malzahn and his squad kind of chuckles a little bit, because I think they know they're on to something. But at the same time, you haven't proven it on the field yet. You had to replace a defensive lineman in Marlon Davidson and Derek Brown. Now, here's what a lot of folks don't take into account. They don't take into account that some of the guys that are coming back are the reasons why Derek Brown and Marlon Davidson were able to be a little bit more diverse on the defensive line and actually put a little bit more money in their pockets. And another thing they don't know is the fact that Auburn has done a great job of recruiting linebackers, as to why that side of the football field should be stout. So it's going to be very, very difficult to move the football against Auburn in certain aspects of the game. Then you have the secondary who, I think these guys were talented. They're just going to have to prove themselves. So really, when we look at a number 4 ranking for Auburn in the SEC West, the main denominator in this is the experience factor. You can't prove it. The guys look good. The guys look great in high school. But there's a lot of guys who look great in high school that just didn't pan out. But we shall see. And I think with the emergence of Bo Nix at quarterback, Coach Chad Morris is going to bring a very interesting system to Auburn as far as offense goes. The passing trees will probably be a little bit more diverse. And you're going to get a little bit more action out of the tight end and throws out of the backfield. So I'm really interested to see how this particular thing turns out. But fans, don't get mad, because usually when Auburn is picked to do somewhat mediocre, they usually do very stellar. And I think they have the squad. I think they have the mentality. And I think they have the leadership to make this happen. All right, so I need to get the likes up. We need to get the comments up. I am Kennard Vernon Stewart, your Auburn enthusiast and conversationist. I want y'all to get the conversation going in the comment section about Auburn being preseason ranked number 4 in the SEC West. I also want y'all to talk a little bit about the offensive line and talk about the wide receivers. Who you think is going to be the best wide receiver, the best newcomer wide receiver this year. Like the video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.